like you're supposed to have it all together, but inside you're wondering how everyone else makes it look so easy, you're not alone. This is Southern Sisters, a place for women who want to grow without the guilt, find purpose in the messy middle, and be reminded that you were made for more. Make sure you stick around. We always save the bloopers for the end. Welcome to our episode of Southern Sisters. We're so glad you're here. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are so excited. You are going to notice this looks a little different than our usual combo of sisters, but we're still sisters. So this is awesome. We have a special guest with us today, and her name is Dom, and she is actually Evie's sister. Dom, before we get into the episode, would you care to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Damaris Montoya, but people call me Dom because I have a hard time saying my name. I teach 6th grade in Jonesboro, Arkansas, and I've been living there almost my whole life, basically. So that's a little bit about me. Yep.
I love it. Well, we are so excited to have Dom here today. Okay, before we jump into our episode and all the things, we just wanted to encourage you, wherever you're listening, to like, subscribe, share, so that we can get this message of sisterhood out to everyone. The last year has been amazing, the response, and we just feel like people need to hear what we have to say.
Yep.
Real life, real talk, real sisters. Real Southern, right?
Yes.
Okay. This is fantastic. All right. So before we jump into our icebreaker question, our sister segment for today is Evie's Pop Culture Corner. So, Evie, what did you find?
We don't have Lindsay here to sing the little theme song that she does.
There we go.
All right. So surprisingly, guys, I have not been scrolling as much as I usually do. And I think it's just because of the holidays and doing all the traditions with my kids. But one thing that did stick out to me, because I'm a stay-at-home mom, so this kind of lit a fire under me when I came across this, was I came across this guy on a podcast, and he was talking about how being a stay-at-home mom is not a hard job. So I'm going to play some of the audio for you, and then we'll just insert a few clips of what he had to say about this.
I'm sorry. I know it's like not a popular thing to say. Stay-at-home mom is not a hard job. Like hot tar roofer, that's a hard job. Landscaper, that's a hard job. And we've even created a culture. Motherhood is the hardest job in the whole world. And this Mother's Day, remember that mom is the hardest job. We've got people gassed up on this idea that, like, oh my God, the hardest job in the world is being a mom. And it's like, guys, it's not. It's not. It's not the hardest job in the world. It's an incredibly important job. You could make the case that it's the most important job in the world, for sure. But it's the most physically taxing, incredibly. And by the way, it's transient. You're telling me a 2-year-old and an 8-year-old, it's the same gig? No. I had 2 kids. Trust me. 2, really hands-on, really challenging. 8, still hands-on, but in a very different way. 18, not really that hard anymore. Psychologically, maybe you have to be there in different ways and discipline in different ways, but the hands-on part of it's not as difficult. I'm sorry. I know.
So that's some of what he had to say, and then he also went on to talk about how we've made being a stay-at-home mom a little too easy, and how back then, moms would actually make an apple pie from scratch, and now you can just go to the grocery store and buy an apple pie, and just how it's a little too convenient, and it's not a hard job at all. So what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I don't like the arrogance at which I hear in his voice. Does that make me seem like I'm a little biased? Probably. I don't know. I think being a mom, I feel like there has been a shift in convenience of motherhood. There's a lot more tools. There's a lot more access to things that you didn't have 20 years ago, 30 years ago. But I also feel like because of the advancements of technology in particular, that motherhood is even harder, because whereas you'd have those moments of natural connection, now you have to make those moments of connection. And I was talking to somebody the other day about how used to be life was very physical. Now it's very mental, emotional.
Yeah.
And that is the battlefield at which you are constantly playing.
Yeah.
And how do you measure that? How do you quantify that?
Yeah.
Like, to do it well, it's a constant thing where you have to be consistent and vigilant and not give up. And like, it's crazy. I don't know.
I think with even things now, like making it more convenient, there are also things like that make it harder that they didn't have back then. Like you said, like the social media and the technology, like kids didn't have or go through things because of what we have now then.
I was just going to say that. I was just going to say how it was like unfair for him to compare back then to now, because what may have been hard back then, imagine those parents having to go through the things that we have to go through now. It'd probably be hard for them, and it'd probably be hard for us what they had to go through. So it's kind of an unfair advantage of him comparing, this is what it was like back then, and that was hard, because what is hard today may have not been hard for them because they've never had to deal with it, So it's kind of unfair for him to compare those two times.
Yeah, and then with him talking about like how the tar roofer or something.
Landscaper.
Yes.
That's a hard job.
Well, I also think too, like, okay, when adults get to go to their job, they get to talk to other adults. And that, I feel like that's good for your mental health. Whereas like a stay-at-home mom, they only get to talk to kids all day. And sometimes like they need that adult conversation. And I feel like also people, like when they clock out of their job, most of the time, like that's it for the day. They get to go home. They don't have to think about that job anymore until the next day. But for a mom, I feel like a mom is a 24/7 thing. I used to be like, my job doesn't end until they're in bed and they're asleep. But even there's some nights where somebody's crying or somebody's sick or somebody, had a nightmare, and I'm still having to be a mom, or I'm having to, prep for their school the next day, like make sure that we have stuff for their lunch or a project or supplies the teacher asked for. Like, I feel like it's really something that you don't get to ever clock out of.
No. Well, and his premise that like landscaping is hard. Well, what about in the winter? Is landscaping hard in the winter? What about tar roofer on a snow day? Like,
right.
Is it hard to be a tar roofer on a snow day? No, because they're not working. Like, it's about the season. So I have raised kids now from 0 to 20. And I will tell you that having 3 teenagers in the home is just as stressful as having toddlers.
It comes with different challenges.
It's a different kind of stress, but you're constantly regulating emotions.
Yeah.
You're breaking up fights. You're trying to get people to be helpful. Like, it is a hard thing.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter what season you're in. It's going to be tricky and difficult.
Yeah.
I don't like the fact that he's like, we've gassed ourselves. Like, it's a gaslighting process to say. And I'm like, you say that it's the most important job, but it wouldn't be the most important if it weren't the thing that took the most out of you.
Right. And I think every stay-at-home mom's situation is different. Like some stay-at-home moms, like their husbands might come home every night, at a certain hour. Some stay-at-home moms, their husbands' hours might be longer, and they might come home later, and they might only get an hour before to see their kids.
Mom, like our dad traveled a lot growing up, and like we didn't see our dad sometimes for 2 weeks. So it was like my mom was a stay-at-home mom for those whole 2 weeks. She was the discipliner, she was the nurse, she was the teacher, she was everything. So never really had a break.
Yeah.
I like it. I think that was a great pop culture corner. All right. So today our episode is all about mental health and our kids. How can we help them thrive? And not just our kids, but mental health for everyone, with an emphasis on children in particular, because that is Dom's specialty. And so that's why we wanted her to come and talk about this. For our icebreaker question today, that kind of leads us into that, we're going to ask the question, what's one thing you wish the adults in your life understood better about your feelings when you were a kid? And for me, my thing that I wish I was understood better as a child is like, I can remember parents or adults in my life just being like, I know what you're thinking. And I'm like, no. Like, sometimes as an adult, even I'm very neutral. Like my brain is just like I don't have any thoughts. I don't have anything that I'm thinking. I don't have any diabolical plans that I'm putting together. Like I don't have any of that stuff. And so I wish that it would have just been okay to just have been like neutral.
Mm-hmm.
I think one thing that I wish adults would have understood better is like validating my feelings. So at like school, we receive training from our therapist. We have an awesome admin team, and they're all about mental health at our school. Our counselor is great. Our therapists are great. And so they gave us this training, just like a really small training about our upstairs and downstairs brain, and how when a kid is upstairs, it's all the emotions of happiness, calm. And so they're able to observe the learning more and are able to sit there and actually do what is asked of them. But when they're in their downstairs brain, that means that they're sad or something has triggered them or they're angry. They don't have time to sit there and really learn at all or absorb what that adult is trying to say. And because they're so in their emotions, they're so in their head. And so, I really didn't think about it as a child, but think about it as an adult. I was like, wow, that was me. Like I was a very emotional child. Like when I was mad, I would cry about it, and sometimes people would say, stop crying, why are you being a crybaby? Like you shouldn't be crying about this. But really, I wish they would have validated my feelings and said, you know what, she's in her downstairs brain, she needs some time, I'm gonna let her cry it out, I'm gonna validate that she's feeling this way and walk away, and then come back and we can talk about it. And I wish adults would have done that more, because I would have been able to be in a space where I would actually listen and absorb what they're trying to tell me in that moment. Whereas if we were in the heat of the moment, there is no way I was learning anything or listening to anything that they had to say to me, So that was a thing, that I learned in our training, that I was like, you know what, I wish adults would have done this better, so I'm going to do better this way too as an adult.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would say mine's pretty similar. As a kid, I still do this sometimes. I've gotten better at it. As an adult, I am somebody who bottles things in. And so I think like once I let it out, like that's why I feel it so deeply. And so when I'm angry, I'm like really angry. Or when I'm sad, I'm really sad. And so I just need time to process those emotions, because I'm not ready for a conversation right away. Because sometimes I haven't even dealt with it myself, because I've just been bottling it all inside.
Mm-hmm. That kind of leads us into what we want to talk about today. Okay, so why is children's mental health such an important conversation right now?
I think it's such an important conversation right now, because we talked about it with our pop culture thing. It's like we have media and social media now, and instead of kids coming to an actual person or an adult they can trust to validate their feelings or know how they're feeling, they turn to things on social media, or influencers, and they feel validated through them. And sometimes it can come off as misinformation, and maybe, they go to the wrong resources. And so they really truly don't know how to express or how to deal with their feelings in that moment, because they're turning to someone that is not really there to help them through that time or that emotional time that they're going through.
Yeah, that reminds me of like those horror stories of kids turning to AI and, talking to AI about their feelings or things they're going through, instead of an actual person that has the correct resources to help them. And sometimes AI, as we know, like they don't get it right. You know?
They do not get it right. I was thinking about social media. I feel like the difference between kids 20 years ago and kids today is the things that they're exposed to. As parents, we could do a really good job at protecting them from things. and it was like if they got exposed to media, it was either through the radio or like occasionally through TV, like MTV or VH1, or, you know, like you would have that. That is like drinking from a water hose. And kids today, with the things they're exposed to, it's like trying to drink from a fire hydrant. And so it's like that difference is why mental health is so important. It's because, like you said, the sources that they're looking to connect with and to fix their problem are not real.
No.
Even if they are real people, they don't know them. They don't know their circumstance. And so it is something that is, it's just.
And sometimes I feel children see like these influencers or people on social media have these perfect lives when later on, like for example, there's this influencer on TikTok, you know, him and his brothers would do like eating challenges and they looked like they were having fun, happy life, perfect life. And then he went through a mental health crisis where it ended up in a really bad situation where he's not here anymore, you know? And so it comes to show like these kids probably looked up to these brothers and were probably looking towards them for this, I want to say artificial, or you know, they would turn to them to help them in that emotional state, but they don't really know what these brothers were going through in that moment, you know?
No.
So I guess it's true when they say artificial intelligence because that's what AI is. It's artificial. It's not real, you know? And so instead of turning to real resources, children are now turning to these artificial resources.
Well, and they're turning to artificial experiences. Like, how many videos are watched on YouTube of people playing with toys by children?
Yeah.
So
instead
many.
of children actually playing with toys.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like, hey, wait, you have these same toys.
It's kind of weird.
It is very weird. It is very, very weird.
Yes.
It's crazy. Okay, so what kind of pressures do you think kids today are facing that maybe we didn't? Like, what are some things as a teacher, Dom, that you see that kids are dealing with that we don't really pay attention to?
Wanting to feel valued, and they're looking for value elsewhere. I feel like out of a lot of the children that I've had to teach throughout the years, I've taught for 6 years, a lot of them don't have a parent that they come home to and can talk to. They don't really have those, you know, human conversations. The only human interactions they do get is at school. And because they don't get it at home, they really don't know how to socialize. They don't know how to regulate their emotions because at home they don't have that. It's either because parents are having to work multiple jobs just to sustain a family because they come from a single household or a single parent household, or, you know, parents are out making poor choices and leaving kids behind. You know, or grandparents or aunts and uncles are having to raise these children, you know, and they're doing the best that they can in their situations. And so they're not having these human interactions. And so when they come to school with anxiety or depression or not being able to socialize with other kids because they haven't had those social skills that they could have learned at home, you know? So we see a lot of that in our schools today.
So that is probably the most difficult case scenario. What does good mental health look like in a child? So if a child is mentally healthy, what does that look like?
So you can tell that they're happy to be there. They're willing to learn and want to learn. They participate more. Yeah, they do. They participate more. They know how to regulate their emotions. So like if something doesn't go their way, they're not throwing tantrums in class, or they're not, you know, I'm not having to stop a lesson to try to go over there and help them go through it. They know how to do it themselves, you know, because they have that parental support at home. They have that support that they need, and they have that good mental health. That's what I would say.
I think it's interesting because those things that you just mentioned could very well easily translate into your home as well. Like when you're looking at your family and your children, do you have maybe a child that isn't participating as much as they usually have or should? Like we've done that lots where you kind of notice, okay, who's not wanting to play in family game night? You know what I mean? Like, who's not wanting to participate? Who's taking the longest to come down to dinner? You know what I mean? Just kind of see how that works. Also, like, who's having outbursts? Pay attention. And not just with you, because I think sometimes with your own kids and families, like, they can be on their best behavior with their parents. But watch how they're treating each other. And like, okay, how is this?
How they socialize with others.
Yeah. It matters. And also, how easily are they teachable in the home? Because you're teaching things all the time, trying to figure out, like, teaching in the home is probably one of the biggest connectors that you can have as a parent. And I think that it's underrated because everybody thinks that the experts at school are going to do it for them.
Or fix them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, no, there are things, you have things that you can teach your children, whether it be just, this is how we cook a meal. I'm doing this. Come do it with me.
Yes.
You know?
Our kindergarten center had a sign outside their school that said that the best education comes within the walls of a home. And that's absolutely right. It is. The best education you can give is within the walls of a home. As a teacher, I'm only going to see them 1 year. And I wish, as a teacher, I wish I could hold their hand throughout the rest of the years in their school years. There are times I feel like that I'm like, man, I wish I could go with them to 7th grade and 8th grade and 9th grade. But I'm not. I'm there 1 year. But the people that are in their homes are there for the rest of their lives. And that's the biggest influence that they're going to get is the people in the home.
I agree. Okay. So how do we validate feelings without fixing everything? Dom, do you have any tricks for validating feelings without fixing?
Sometimes I'll have kids. I have kids that maybe they're emotional when they come into my classroom. So every time when they come into my classroom, I greet them by name, and we have a special handshake, or I give them a fist bump or a hug, whatever they would like. And so when they come in, I fist bump them, and immediately I can tell the ones that are emotional and are in their feelings, probably because something that happened in the last class, something that happened in the hallway. And so what I do is I say, hey, you, step behind me for a second. And I keep, greeting the class in. And then as the class has gone in, grab their binders, do their bell work, whatever, I pull them aside in the hallway and I say, what's wrong? What can I do for you? How are you feeling? Do you want to talk? Do you need to go to the bathroom for 2 minutes to just cool off? And so that's how I let them know that I am there for them, that I see them, and I see how they're feeling in that moment. And sometimes they'll choose to go to the bathroom for 2 minutes to cool off and then come back to class. Sometimes they'll choose to talk to me. And so then in that moment I say, do you want to go talk to our school counselor to see how we can figure this out? Or if they are seeing a school therapist, then I'll say, do you want me to contact your therapist so that way you can talk to them, or they can pull you during lunch or something so that way they can help you go through this. And so, I just make sure that we talk to them. At school, when I first started, I had some tough kids, really tough kids. And sometimes I would see other teachers or teachers online, talking about how they're having to yell at their class, blah, blah, blah. And so that's what you think you have to do. You have to raise your voice and whatnot. But there was this one teacher across the hall that I admired so much. Never yelled, but kids knew she meant business. And so I was like, I want to be just like her. I don't want to raise my voice. I don't want to yell at these kids. And I want them to know that I mean business and that they are valued in my classroom. And so that's something that I've been working on throughout the 6 years that I've been a teacher. And so, to validate their feelings, I make sure that if we get in a heated situation, I walk away and I let them sit there for a second and think about them. Because yet again, they're in their downstairs brain, right? And so they're not going to listen to me. And no matter how many times I raise my voice or yell at them or say, or do you understand? They're not going to understand. They're downstairs, And so I have to let them cool off and let them, validate their feelings that way and then come back and talk about it together.
I feel like that upstairs, downstairs brain is going to be a game changer because really that is how things just snowball.
Yeah.
It's like they get in the downstairs brain and you're still like, why aren't you responding? Why aren't you listening? Like, well, wait for them to get back upstairs.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a game changer in my classroom for sure.
Yeah. And I like how you can tell when somebody is having an emotional day and you pull them aside. And I think that's something that as parents we can do at home as well, is like if we notice that our child maybe something's a little bit off, instead of just being like, oh, like they'll get over it or whatever, we should privately pull them aside and ask them, hey, what's going on? Like, what can I do to help you? One thing I really want to do as a parent and create in my home is always have my kids feel comfortable to come to me or Josh for absolutely anything. And so I had a really cool experience with Jade a couple of weeks ago where she got home from school and she was like, hey, Mom, can I talk to you about something? And I was like, sure, what's up? And she's like, no, like we need to talk in private. And so we went to my bathroom and I said, what's going on? And so she told me about this really embarrassing thing that happened to her at school and how it made her feel. And so I just thought that was so cool that she felt that she could come to me and express those emotions to me, and I was able to comfort her and, tell her, like, embarrassing things happen to everybody. Like, I promise
And
you.
you were safe.
Yes.
You were safe.
Yes.
That's huge. Okay, so what are other simple things parents can do to support mental health at home? I think one thing that is big for our family is don't underestimate the power of bedtime. We're exhausted. We're done.
Yes.
We want to clock out. Like, that's
Yes.
the point where you're like, oh my gosh, just go to sleep.
Yes.
But everyone universally loves to delay bedtime when you're a child.
Yeah.
And if that is the time your child talks, then you need to be responsive to that. Like,
Yes.
it's exhausting, but it's
It is.
100% worth it to feel like if that's when they have the moment they want to connect, that's when you connect.
That's true. Sometimes Jade will say, hey, Mom, can you just stay in my room for a little bit so we can talk? And then she'll be like, what do you want to talk about? I'll be like, whatever you want to talk about.
Yep. No, it's huge.
Yeah. I think another thing too, I'm not a parent, but something that I've seen with the kids that I do get to interact with in my daily basis is like listening to each other and knowing when to listen and when to give advice. Especially, as a child, I felt like, man, I'm not asking for your advice. I just want you to listen
Yes.
to everything. So that way I can, kind of like venting, like, let me vent it all out so I can move on.
Yes.
I'm not venting so you could correct me or you can tell me what to do. I'm just doing it to let it out so I can just move forward. And I think that's the same thing with kids. It's like, just ask them, do you want me to listen or do you want me to give advice? Which one do you want me to do before even talking to them? So that way they feel like they're valued and validated in those moments.
I think it's good. Another thing we like to do that kind of goes along with that is we try to give them a safe space to feel the way they're feeling. I know with some of my kids, if they're feeling big emotions and they just need to get it out instead of venting, sometimes they are ashamed of what they have to say. And one thing we do is we have, I tell them to go write it out.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And then we will go burn it in the backyard
Yep.
and no one reads it.
Yeah.
But it's out of their system, and there's a special place where there's not wood. Like, we have some rocks in our backyard. I'm like, just go over the rocks and burn it, and then it's out of you. And it's something. It's not that it's not legitimate.
Right.
It is very real. These feelings that you feel are very real. But if you keep them inside of you, they will eat you alive.
You'll bottle it up.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like a soda bottle, like, shake it, and then finally when you open it, it's going to pop,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that, Meg. That's one of the ways that has helped me to not bottle things inside. Because, when Josh and I were first married, like, I remember, like, if an issue would arise, like, he just wanted me to talk about it. And that was so hard for me to do. And I remember one time I would tell him, like, hey, I feel like I can't talk about it, but, like, let me text it to you.
Yes.
So I would, like, it was easier for me to just type it out than saying it out loud. So I love that.
So with my calling in the Relief Society, we have a group message, which is the counselors and my secretary, and we're all very comfortable with each other. And sometimes something will come up in the calling that I'm like, oh, I have to deal with this. And so I will like text them in the text message like, guys, I just have to let this out. And I'll text it out and be like, all right, my event is over. Let me move on. You know, sometimes you just need that. And I think kids need that too, you know. In the classroom, if they can't say it to me, go write it down. You can throw it away or we can take it to the counselor, up to you. So.
Another couple of other things that may be helpful is routines and consistency. So put those rhythms in your life and I feel like this goes into the next thought, like connection over perfection. Don't feel like you have to have the picture perfect answer every time you're dealing with mental and emotional health. It's going to look different. But if you can be open to inspiration when you're in the moment, like especially when you're dealing with kids that have so many different complex things, personalities, backstories, whether they're your own or ones that you deal with, like make sure that you have patterns in place. So when this happens, this is what we do.
Yep.
Whether that be, okay, when we have an outburst, go take some time for yourself. It's very hard to not make it feel like more punishment. But it has to be done through love, you know? Just be like,
Yes.
you need a moment. Can you go take that? Not, go to your room, get out. You know, like the way you deliver it is everything. So.
And sometimes I think as an adult dealing with kids, like you even have an upstairs and downstairs brain. And maybe that's something that you communicate with your child too. Like, hey, right now I'm in my downstairs brain. I can't deal with this right now. So let's both go take time and then we can come back together. I'll put a timer. We can come back together at that timer, you know? But yeah.
I think that's huge because everyone thinks as a parent, like your kids think you've got it all together.
Right.
My mom's perfect.
Yep.
Spoiler alert, we are not. We mess up all the time.
Yeah.
We have to ask for forgiveness all the time.
Yep.
It is crazy. Okay. From an adult perspective, what emotional struggles do we see the most in kids?
I see a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
And I think that's because of the world we live in. I think a lot of the times there's this standard that we have to live up to. And because we're not hitting this standard that the world wants to hold us up to, you get a lot of anxiety. And I think that's a lot with a lot of the kids. I feel like nowadays kids have so much going on in our world and so much that's expected of them that, you know, they feel anxious about being this way.
Yeah. I think it reminds me of that pop culture corner we had a couple of months ago where we talked about how, you know, kids, they have testing and then they have state testing and then they have the club volleyball and then they have the school sports, and it's just like they never really have time to just have nothing going on.
Just be.
Yes. To just be. And I think social media plays a big part in that too, because I know as an adult, if I'm just doom scrolling and I'm just seeing all these people on vacation or all their shopping sprees or going out to eat, like, I feel like, whoa, like, what is my life? Like, I don't get to do all that stuff. I must be doing something wrong, you know, or I'm behind on the timeline. Because these people are younger than me and they have, you know, way more than I do. I'm sure, you know, if kids are on social media all the time, I'm sure they feel the same way. Like, my life doesn't look like that, you know.
Or in the classroom, they may feel like they're not smart enough. Like, that kid's smarter than me. I hear this all the time. But they're smarter than me. He's smarter. I'm not smart. I'm not smart. And I tell my kids all the time, y'all aren't dumb. Like, sometimes I wish people could just sit and be a teacher for a year and see the brilliant minds these kids have, because the things they say are amazing and the minds they have are just astounding. And it makes me have faith in our future generation of all the things that they say in class and how they participate. It's just amazing, you know, and sometimes they don't feel that way and they don't feel like they're smart or intelligent enough. And so I tell my kids all the time, like, none of y'all are dumb. None of y'all are stupid. You are all smart. We all just learn a little different. You know, and so they want to hear that. And I think that also comes with, are they getting that at home as well? You know, I know that maybe it's a taboo that family dinners, but it is so important to have a family dinner. Sit down together as a table and communicate with one another and feel each other's love and presence. And even if it comes out with a little fight with a sibling, even at family dinner, at least they had that human connection.
Yeah.
And now they can learn how to regulate that social interaction, you know? So that's so important.
I think as a parent too, like telling them, like when you see that they're doing something good, or when you see that they're good at something, like, wow, like you're really good at drawing, or you're really good at basketball or whatever, like letting them know that you recognize the things that they're good at, so that they don't feel like I'm not good at anything or I'm not smart, you know?
Oh, the things we tell ourselves. Oh, it's so dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
It's the truth, though. I love that. This morning, my youngest kid was walking past me, and he just gave me a hug and a kiss and was like, he said, I've decided every time I'm in the same room with you before I leave, I'm just going to give you a hug and a kiss. And I thought, I fully support this. I fully support this connection. This
Yes.
is so good. And I told him, I said, that would make my day. Every day would be a fantastic day if every time we ran into each other, we just had a hug.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
love that. Yeah. I remember Josh still does this sometimes, but more so when we were first married, he would ask me, like, is there anything that I can do to be a better husband? And so now I ask my kids, like, is there anything I can do to be a better mom? And Jade, like, she's always so sweet. She's like, no, you're the best mom in the world. You're perfect.
Yeah.
But that says a lot
Yeah.
that you're willing to ask that. And so they know, like, my mom's trying.
Yeah.
You know? And it doesn't mean you're perfect at it.
Right.
But it just means, like, hey, can
You're
I
doing
do
your
anything
best.
better?
Right.
Yeah.
Is there something I'm missing, or, you know?
Okay, so let's shift this a little bit to a faith conversation. How do we teach kids that faith and feelings can coexist? Where does faith fit into the mental, emotional health of everything?
That's such a good question. That's a question that my mom had been dealing with too. She's struggling a little bit with her mental health, but one question she has, it's like, I go to church and I don't feel anything, you know, like I don't even know if I have a testimony because I'm not feeling it, you know? But I think we need to remember that we have a loving Heavenly Father that is always there to validate our feelings. And the way he validated our feelings is by sending Jesus Christ here on earth to atone for us. And something I try to remember is that Jesus Christ was in that garden when he was, suffering for all the things that we would go through in this world. He saw us. He knew specifically how we would feel, and he still suffered through for us. And because of that, then we can remember that when we are feeling in our worst ways, in the worst times, that one person understands, and that's Jesus Christ. I don't think we should ever feel embarrassed or ashamed of how we feel, because our Heavenly Father knows us so perfectly that he validates our feelings, There's times where in my life, because I can get very emotional very quick, and sometimes people like to call me dramatic or drama or why are you crying, blah, blah. But in that moment, I remember, you know what? Call me all you want, but the one person that's not going to call me those names is my Heavenly Father. He's going to validate the way I feel in this moment.
I think something that's important when you're dealing with mental health and struggles is to make sure that if you know you're having a hard time or you have children having a hard time, everyone needs an advocate when it comes to mental and emotional health. Like, it's really important. I'm not anti-medicine. I'm not anti-doctor. They have really, really great things, but really access to great tools. There's so much good information and medical knowledge out there, but everyone is so different that it's important that if you're dealing with mental health struggles, you have somebody there that you trust that can help walk with you through this process. And I think for kids, it's usually the parent or the grandparent.
Yeah.
Or if not, a teacher.
Yeah. But it's like, how do we do that? Like, how can we be an advocate for the people that we know that are struggling with mental health? Do you think that, what is the best way to do that?
I think you show them that you're finding every tool and resource for them, that you're not giving up on them, that just because they feel this certain way, you're still there, and you're not going to go anywhere. You know, I have a kid in my class that deals with some really hard stuff in his life and has really bad anxiety, but I tell him all the time, I don't understand what you're going through because I've never gone through it, but I'm still here for you. And anytime you need me, I'm here to eat lunch with you, here to listen to you. I'm still going to hold you to my high expectations and routines and consistency because I believe in you. You know, and if I didn't believe with you, then I would lower my expectations, but I'm not. I'm going to hold you high expectations because I see your potential, and I want you to know that I'm here no matter what.
Well, and you can do that in your families too.
Yes.
Be like, there's things that your kids are going to struggle with in life. It could be pornography. It could be addiction. It could be mental or emotional health.
Yeah.
And just having them know that you're there regardless with love. I'm here. It is everything.
Yeah.
And that's why God gave us families. It's huge.
true.
I love this quote, and it says, feelings are much like waves. We can't stop them, but we can choose how we respond. And I think that was really fantastic.
I just want to say that if anybody is going through a hard time or struggling or, you know, needing someone to be there for them, to reach out to that person that you trust and get the help that you need. You're not struggling and you're not by yourself. There are people out there that will help you and hold you up. You're not there alone.
Yeah.
Our brain loves to tell us that we're alone and that no one understands and that we're stuck.
Yeah.
Because that is what keeps us safe. And that is not the truth.
Yeah. Going back to the question about, and I guess incorporating religion with emotions or spirituality. If you are a religious family, I know something that really, really helped me as a child when I went through kind of my own, I guess, mental challenges, was knowing that I'm a child of God and that I'm here for a purpose. So if you're a parent and if you do believe in God, I think it's so important that you remind your children of that.
The purpose that's greater than us.
Yes.
What does it look like to model taking hard emotions to God? I wasn't going to ask this question, but I just did because I thought that I just felt like I should after
Wait,
what
what
Evie
was
just
it?
said. What does it look like to model taking hard emotions to God?
Oh.
Like, how do we model that?
I had experienced this last week with both of my parents. You know, we were trying to figure out what to do and how to help my mom through this situation that she's going through. And me and my dad are just clueless. Like, we have no idea what to do. We're not doctors. We want to do one thing, but we're not even sure if that's going to work. You know, we've heard so many things from other people and it hasn't worked. And so we're like clueless. And one thing my parents have always modeled for us is that when we feel clueless, take it straight to God. And something Evie, you know, when I was texting Evie all my emotions during this time, because it's hard, Evie said, y'all need to kneel down and pray. And I'm like, she's absolutely right. And that's something that my dad and my mom have always modeled for us. And so, you know, that moment that me and my dad were in frustration, it was 2, 3 in the morning. And I told my dad, I said, we need to kneel down and pray. And so we all kneeled down and we all prayed in that moment to find an answer. And that only comes because my parents modeled that for us, you know, that we are able to model that when we take hard emotions as well.
Yeah. I think a lot of it is just by example, like showing your kids that when you're going through a hard time, that you do go to God or that you go to the temple, or showing them that you're fasting or, you know, doing the things that you teach them, like actually putting it into action.
Well, and letting them see that big emotions are okay. I feel like I used to always hide when I would be upset or when I would cry because I didn't want the temperature of my home to be frustrated or full of contention. But I mean, I've learned in the last probably 2 years that just let it out.
Yeah.
So, you know, the kids were making fun of me because we had Christmas and Kate was gone. But she sent a Christmas box and I was like, everyone should read their letters. And some of the kids were like, no, we don't want you to cry. And I'm like, crying's not bad.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm sad.
Right.
I could be crying because I'm so proud. You know what I mean? Like,
Or happy.
or so it's just, it was interesting. I'm like, it's okay for them to see that too.
Yes.
And model that when you have hard days, you do take it to God.
Yeah.
So I think that's amazing. All right. Our scripture for this time is Isaiah 26:3. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trusteth in thee. And I just want to encourage you, if you're in a season of hard or struggle, like Dom said, our Savior Jesus Christ, if we keep our minds on him, it will have so much power in your life to affect change. I will not say that it will affect and change everything, because his purpose is not to remove the trial from us. Right. So thinking on him is not going to fix whatever you're going through, but we are promised through the scriptures that we can do all things through him. And if we have our eyes on him, then we are able to better withstand and come out on the other side of the hills and valleys that we all go through. All right, our reflection question for the week is, what is one small way I can create more emotional safety for my child this week? By being present, not perfect. What's one small thing you can do? And until next time,
keep striving, and we'll see y'all soon.
Now it's time for the bloopers.
Yeah.
Hold on just a second. What the heck is
I
going
know,
on? Oh. Like, you're so loud.
Yeah.
Okay. I loved that, Dom. I thought that was really fantastic.
Oh, go ahead.
You were going to say
Oh,
something.
yeah. You can
No,
go
you
ahead.
go
Okay. Okay,
We'll have Tom do it right.
Yeah, Dom, you have to say, keep striving and we'll see y'all soon.
Okay.
We have to
Okay.
look at the camera.
Yes.
Which one?
The middle one.
Okay.
Wait, I'll say it.
Wait.
So she's going to say
Say
so
it again.
until
Keep
next time.
striving.
And we'll see y'all soon.
Okay.
Okay. And until next time.